Good morning, everyone. Today is August the 9th, 2020, Sunday. Let's take apart Revelation 12 as we read together. Let's talk about the woman, the child, and the dragon. Now a great sign appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with a child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on its head. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth. So, then being with child, she was with the child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. So, there's a movement happening with this woman, inside this woman, stirring up in this woman. She is with child. She bore a male child. So, physically, spiritually, emotionally, she bore what she gave, what she pushed out from in her was a male child. Capitalize. Child, not capitalize. Child, capitalize. Who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her capital C, child, was caught up to God and his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God. Yeah. Wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,000 to they. So she has a place. The woman fled, she left into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they, plural, they, 2 or more, should feed her there 1,260, which is also 42 months. Satan in Revelation 12 And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels. Michael is capitalized. His angels, uncapitalized, fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels. So the dragon is not capital, and his angels fought. So sounds like angels and demons. But they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, and the serpent of old, the old same serpent that's been around for decades and ages, called the devil and Satan. Devil means two, Diablo, and Satan is the opposition, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Fallen angels, the good ones that fell, cast. And then I heard a loud voice saying, in heaven, now salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. God and the power of his Christ has come. God is the one, the Father above, and the power of his Christ have come. Father, Jesus, lowercase heaven, have come for the accuser of brethren, who accused them before God day and night, has been casted down, and they overcome him. So God and his Christ overcame. This means it happens. They overcame. In a revelation, John the Revelator saw that it took place, and it happened, and they overcame him by, this is Revelation 11, very popular verse in the Bible, 12:11. This is how they overcame that old serpent and their demonic accusers. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, capital L, and by the word of there's more than just one. By the word of one, lowercase, no, by they come together, lowercase, on earth, their testimony. And there's an and they did not love their lives to death. They didn't love themselves, that they would die on earth. They didn't love themselves to the death. Their lives to the death. They did not love their lives to the death. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea. For the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows that his time, he knows that he has a short time clock. Tick tock. Tick tock. Isn't that funny how things happen today? We got a tick tock, huh? A short time. The woman persecuted. Now when the dragon saw that he had been casted to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. Now the child is capitalized. But the woman was given two wings of a great eagle, that she may fly into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished. Nourished. What does that mean? Place where she just eats and eats and gets fat. She just sits back and eats bonbons all day, right? Or where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time. I'm going to come back to this. A time, times with an S, and a half a time. From the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman. So that the serpent, finally, I guess after all that, he's been casted to the earth. So the serpent, let's just go back. The woman was given two wings. So left and right, two wings of a great eagle. So this isn't just an eagle, it's a great eagle. This ain't a helpless eagle, this isn't an elderly eagle, this isn't a baby eagle, this isn't a bald eagle, this isn't a wicked eagle. This is a great eagle, that she may fly into the wilderness to her place, It's her place, where she's nourished for a time and half a time. Let's go back. That 1260. His throne. Then the woman fled. So something caused her to bolt out of where she was at. Into the wilderness. She fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God. So God's already created her a place. But when she gets there, it appears, a wilderness is usually out in the middle of nowhere, nothing around. That they should feed her there 1,260 days. So obviously, wherever she goes, that God's prepared, and that God's prepared is a blessed place in the wilderness. That's amazing. And as we read here, that same 1,260 days, 42 months, time and times and a half a time, from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed out. He was mad this happened. He was mad because this place was prepared by God, where the serpent could no longer reach her. So the serpent spewed out water of his mouth like a flood after the woman. So all he could do was talk. He could give emotion that might cause her to be carried away by the flood. He's going to try to drown her in emotions. But the earth helped the woman. So what did the earth have, legs or a mouth, or did the trees out of the earth help the woman? But the earth helped the woman. But the earth helped. Helped is a word that usually, it helped is a spouse, help. A spouse means helper. But the earth helped the woman. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman. So the earth helps her, but he's just mad at the woman. And he went to make war with her and the rest of her offspring. Never said that she had more children before that, and the only children it talks about got caught to heaven. And the rest of her offspring, who keeps the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. If you read by Revelation 12:11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony. They keep the testimony. They don't just, experience a thing and say there's not a God. I know in the Bible it says those who don't deny Jesus before man or people, then Jesus doesn't deny you before his Father in heaven. This is talking about kingdom of God and the power of his Christ has come. So they keep their testimony. Her offsprings who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So let's go back to the time, because I believe we're in the times right now. Literally, times. You could break this apart into 3 portions, and you would have a time, times with a plural, and a half a time. Well, I just want to show you something very interesting. September 30th, 2019 at 11:11 p.m. I arrived to Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I arrived there and I woke up the next day, October 1st, 2019. Sorry if you can see my handwriting, if you can't see. But September 30th, 2019 at 11:11, I arrived at Doylestown, PA, Philadelphia, October 1st, 2019. I woke up. Okay. I woke up there. Woke up in a situation that I have never lived anywhere outside of Texas, pretty much all my life. I've been all over all over different places, including overseas, but never did I live anywhere besides Texas. I lived in Texas, 42 years. That's 1,260, right? 42. Okay. I am 42 right now. Age 42. And Jesus moved me when I was 42. I was 42 in August 10th, 2019. Ironically, tomorrow is August 10th, 2019. And I was 42. Okay, now Jesus had me in Doylestown from September 30th, 2019, and on August 1st, 2020, after all this pandemic and all this stuff that's happening in our world today, 10 months later, 10 months, I moved to Missouri. Out of nowhere. And if you've seen the place that I'm at, it's almost like God staged this place. Everything, furniture, I didn't know when I was coming here if I'd even have a place to sleep. I thought I would be sleeping on a hard floor, no coffee, anything, just to get here. When I had left there, felt like my time was up, so it was time to leave, and I had something else to do. The Lord was having me go somewhere else. And the place that was offered to me, they offered to me. It was definitely by God. And you could see God written all over this place. So August 1st, I moved here. August 4th, tropical storm, Isaias blows into Doylestown. Three days later, after I step foot out on my journey, 3 days later, tropical storm Isaias comes. Not super major, blows in Doylestown. As the train goes by, you can hear it blowing. And it was a tornado, and those who know what a tornado is like, there was an isolated tornado there that took off some of the roofs, flipped over cars. It was listed as a F2 tornado in Doylestown. I'd been there 10 months and there was no tornado. Ironically, 3 days later, there's a tornado. Now, I'm in Missouri, and I just want to show you something here about the times, and half time. So if I was there 10 months, that's one time. That's considered time. So then 2 times would be 20 months. And then half a times, if time is considered 10, then half of 10 would be 5, right? That's a half time. Now, when you add these up in months, okay, you get 10, 20, and half a time, okay? So that will be 30 months and a half, 30 and a half. Okay. Now, what's interesting is 3.5 years plus 3.5 years equals 7 years. There's a 7-year tribulation, those who know about Bible prophecy and what's to come. But what's interesting is 30 and a half, 3 and 5. Times, it's 2 times, and half time. 10, 20 and a half, which equals 30 and a half. $30 months versus 42 months. I think 11:5 has significance. Revelation 11:5. These are the same numbers, though. There's something very symbolic happening in my life story, my testimony, that backs up to where we're at in Bible prophecy in the Word of God. Although numerology has a significant role in my life, and it always has. And I can see how here when you add these up, this is what I was there for. I was there one time, 10 months. Now, fed and nourished for 20 months. Almost 2 years. And then almost a half a year. So this is almost a year. This is almost 2 years. And this is almost, it's on the half point of getting to a year. It's not the fullness thereof. Therefore, what I see is Satan is really trying to step over its boundaries, cutting time short. Revelation 11:5 says, "And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies." I believe that Revelation 11 is coming up really soon, because I think that Satan has stepped and crossed over a time period that he did not have, and he did it illegally. So that's what we studied, is Revelation 12, the woman, the dragon, and all of the things that are happening. God bless you. Have a great day.